My pal, Penelope Spheris, is a fantastic filmmaker, a great documenter, a rock and roll person, and someone I have been pals with for over 30 years. Here she is now, and we are about to converse. What was it about music that made you want to capture it documentary style?
My biggest interest in documentary filmmaking comes from trying to understand human behavior. And so people that go whack on stage are very interesting to me. And I want to understand why they do that. So I think it was the performance aspect, but also, especially with the first movie, The Decline, the first one, it was so chaotic and so crazy. I just was trying to understand why these people are doing what they're doing.
Was there anything in you where you saw any kind of you had any kind of affinity to these people? You and I know a lot of the same people, and I know a lot of the people in that film as you do. Was there anything in you where you saw any kind of commonality, or was it sheer curiosity or a combination?
No, that's a very astute and smart question. The fact of the matter is, I really related to the punk rock scene because I had an extremely chaotic upbringing of my own. I had 7 stepfathers. I had a very abusive, violent household that I was raised in. Somebody was bloody every week, and that was normal. And so when I found the punk scene, I was like, geez, I feel right at home here. You know, and, you know, if there's a pit going around, and it didn't scare me. It just kind of was like, okay, cool, I found my place in life, you know. And I think I've associated or, you know, had a closeness to it ever since.
I met you when I first moved to California in 1981. You're like one of the first people I met. And the thing I remember is you'd be at shows, you were like in the scene, like you weren't in a band, but everyone knew who you were, and you were cool with everyone, and everyone was cool with you. It seems to me you really understood these are human beings, and there's a human story. And in your documentary work, that seems to be the overriding theme, is like you're telling human stories without an agenda. I mean, am I right about this?
Well, again, very smart question, because when I was in school at UCLA in film school, my favorite documentary director was Frederick Weissman. And the great thing about Weissman's films was that he was very objective, and he didn't impose his own opinion on something. He would take a subject matter like boot camp or an insane asylum when he did in Titicut Follies, and the people that liked war, the Vietnam War, they loved the movie, and the people that didn't love the war loved the movie. So people were able to get what they wanted from it, you know, and that was my goal in making films. It's like, here it is, I'll present it to you, you decide. Who am I to tell you what to think?
Are you like a California person?
No, I was raised on a carnival that my father owned, and I traveled all across the southern United States. And my father was actually murdered in a racial incident. He was protecting a black man down in Alabama in the early 50s. And so that's why I had 7 stepfathers afterwards, and a really chaotic upbringing is because my father got killed when I was really young, you know. So I traveled all around, and, you know, as much as it's sad when you have to leave your friends and go to another city or whatever, I was used to change. It made me kind of toughen up to being able to adapt and everything, you know.
So by the time you got out here, you had seen more than the average person of your age had seen.
I was able to work out my own psychological and emotional pain by making the movies, you know? It was therapeutic. And that's why I sort of just hung on to it so closely, was because it was my own way of just getting better, you know, and trying to work through the conditions of the world. And so I think that's what I used movie making for.
On that theme, where one medicates and perseveres by using like a craft like filmmaking, a lot of people use music. There's a time in our lives, if you're into the music, you're going to shows, all your friends are either in bands or making fanzines or flyers. where you are living in the music and you're living for the music.
Right.
Did that ever inform your life living in California, in Southern California, with this insane music scene? Everyone's in a band. They're making records that are so good.
Yeah.
Live, they're so good.
Yeah.
There's great venues. I mean, you're just in this, one of the music meccas of the world is Southern California, 70s, 80s. It really can't get any better.
No.
Were you in that?
Oh yeah, I was right there, and even before that, because I remember going down to there was a place called the Cheetah Ballroom on the end of the pier in Santa Monica, and I remember when I went there, I saw Blue Cheer, and
Wow.
I remember standing like right there, and it was the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life. The drummer was way up high, you know. I'm like, you know, this teenage kid. I'm looking at Blue Cheer, going, okay, my world just changed, you know.
Yeah.
I was right there in the whole Southern California scene, and feel very, very fortunate. My daughter's kids go, man, you were so lucky that you were raised up and you experienced all those times, and I do feel that, you know. Like I wouldn't want to be born today just so I could live through the hell world we got today. I'm really, really pleased that I'm this old and that I was able to go through that many generations and that many, you know, incarnations of amazing music.
Do you think all your years as being a stone cold music fan, you're going to the gigs, you're getting it, you know, you're really understanding it, like, you know, face first, Blue Cheer. That's a real learning curve. Do you think that helped you get so inside with the Decline documentaries? The overall kabam of Decline documentaries is this incredible, noticeable lack of judgment. Where these people are, we're not saying, hey, they're crazy. No, they're just, this is Tuesday and this is how it is. You could kind of say like, wow, you might not be around very long with the way you're living.
Right.
A lesser filmmaker would have sensationalized that or somehow used it or turned it into some bad reality show, but you didn't. You turned it into a human story. And so I want to ask you about method. Like when you're setting up interviews, when you're meeting these people, these music people, these rock and roll people, what was your approach? Because they were just so open.
What you're talking about is just having a subject be relaxed and natural enough to say the truth and feel that they could be open and everything. And I just tried to stay out of the way, and my voice is on camera, but my face is not. I never wanted to be on camera, you know. But you know what happens is when I go to shoot, I don't make a big deal out of it. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, we got a camera or two here, and let's just hang out and talk for a while. And all right, you guys go ahead and start rolling, and let's not make a big deal out. Let's not make that subject uncomfortable. And it's really cool that you notice that they are pretty at ease.
What was your time like? Coming from such intensity, like what you know would probably blow the corporate mind, like what you've seen, what you've been around. I was always so happy because I considered you one of us. And when you started making like big films, I said like one of us got over the wall, like hell yeah. Because like that's great. And those films are really cool because you can kind of tell someone slightly subversive is making them.
I love that. Isn't he cool? That's so great.
It's true.
I felt like I was in drag or something when I was at the studios. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always had to like think second, what am I going to wear and everything, and how can I pretend that I'm normal so they'll accept me to do these jobs? But then once Wayne's World made $200 million, you know, you can be Zuckerberg and wear whatever the hell you want.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I was cool after that, you know, except I didn't know what to do with the money because they gave me a whole big chunk of it. And I didn't know what to do because in my mind, I was poor. I'd always been extremely poor. And I just, to this day, my accountant says I spend more on dog food than I do on clothes. So I can't buy into the money thing, you know.
Here's what I want to ask you. All the years of you know, the upbringing you've had, which is really intense, and the music that you experienced on the dangerous streets of LA, and the musicians that you were around, many of them, damn geniuses, and many of them gone, many of the amazing people from the audience, like
God
your
bless
Eugenes
Lemmy.
and Lemmy, all these amazing people that you have met and that you have documented. How has all of that music informed the adult you are now?
I believe that what it's done for me, really, Henry, is kept me away from dropping over into the negative side. Because every day I walk a line where I'm like, okay, I can go real negative or I can go real positive. Which way are you going to go today, Penelope? Which way are you going to go? If I put on a song, if I put on Norman Greenbaum, Spirit in the Sky, I'm fine. If I put on Pink Floyd, Shine On, I'm fine, okay? The music keeps me on the positive side. I don't know how better to explain it,
You're a filmmaker, but to me, you're a music person. I know you through the music world, from shows and your music documentary, the fact that you and I know so much of the same stuff,
right,
and so many of the same people. Music has kind of informed my whole life, and my best stories and fondest memories. You don't have to drill down too far. Music is attached to it, or music is 2 feet away from it. You can reach over and grab it.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that you have at least a version of that truth in your life, where music has informed your attitude, the films you've made, the people you've hung out with.
It kind of defines you,
Like that.
Yeah. I mean, every time I turn around, I drive down this certain part of Sunset Strip, and I remember being in a cab with Foghat because we were shooting a video, and the cab driver said, "You guys look like you're in a band." And they go, "Yeah, Foghat." And the guy goes, "Frog Fat, that's a really good name." Yeah. But I mean, just things like that, every little block of Sunset Strip, I've got memories from, my friend Danny running down the street naked, And so, music has actually defined my life, definitely.
Yeah.
And my daughter, her husband's in the Cult. He does keys for the Cult. And, her son's a drummer, and the daughter's a bass player, and my brother was a singer. I mean, it's in our blood, I really think that my first cousin is Costa Gavras, a Greek filmmaker. And I think there's something to do with the DNA, but there's really a lot to do with the environmental experience as well.
Yeah. Your boyfriend sounds like a vinyl guy?
My boyfriend is a highly accomplished computer tech dude that did have a lot of vinyl. But he and I put them together, and I took my brother's collection, and I'm still kicking myself in the butt for it.
Oh, no.
I know. And there was a lovely, lovely guy at the Academy Archive, Mark Toscano, and he restored the Decline movies. The Academy helped do that. And then he restored all of my student films. I felt so indebted to him. He's a collector. I went 2 big SUV loads full of milk cartons of albums and gave them to him.
Okay. Well, at least they went to...
They went to a person who will keep good care of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the old record stores in L.A.?
Oh, yeah. Who were those 2 guys that had vinyl fetish? They were so sweet. It was the first guy I ever saw that had pink hair. 2 gay guys.
I'm forgetting the names.
Well, you know who I'm talking about. They had vinyl
absolutely.
fetish. Yeah, and
It's on Melrose.
Was great. On Melrose, yeah. But yeah, of course, I remember those places, and I think there's one store down there now still. I don't know that they keep trying to get the Decline in the store for some reason, but the fact of the matter is, I think kids today are kind of cheated because they don't have the experience that we had, where we pick up a piece of vinyl and put it on a turntable and listen, and if you wanted to hear that song, then you pick up the needle and you hear it all over again, and you can keep doing that. And I'm crazy, and I did it like 100 times with one song all day long, and but they just take it off of a digital source, and it feels in a way to me, I don't do it because it just feels cold, and feels distant. And I really like, I like, I like to have my little stack of movies, and I wish I hadn't given my vinyl away, but I did.
As far as like where you are now, as an artist, as a filmmaker, what's grabbing your attention? Like if you had to run out and make a documentary right now and you just had everything in place, what would you make?
Well, I would probably have to pick something that I didn't mind getting killed doing, okay? Because I think that's the only thing worthwhile and hasn't really been tapped into enough. Documentaries have become so watered down and so multitudinous that it's like it doesn't even matter anymore almost, I would probably want to go make a film with the, Guy Fawkes anarchists. I'd probably want to go and dig down deep and find out what they're doing. That's what I would want to do, but I would have to be okay with being killed for doing it, because I probably would be. There I would have an opinion.
Everyone's making a documentary. Everybody's making one. Because my email box, it gets flooded like, hey, we're doing a thing on, and we want to make a documentary. Like, okay, about a club I played in 20 years ago. Right. We're making a documentary. I'm like, that's nice. Yeah. Don't email me
have
anymore.
Have fun.
Yeah. And there's no skin in the game.
Yeah.
I've been in a few where I have to really like the project, but boy, there are a lot being made, and I watch a lot. I'm like, wow, that's 80 minutes I'm never getting back. Like no one lost a finger making that thing.
If I'm gonna make a movie, it takes 2-3 years. Okay, so if I'm gonna make a movie at this age, it better fucking be good, because I got 2 or 3 years to mess around with. Yeah. You know what I mean?
What do you feel looking back, the shows you've seen, the luck you had? I think we're lucky to be in these music scenes.
Yeah.
Time, place, right time, right place, right person, right
Total
attitude.
Luck.
Looking back at all of that, how do you feel about your luck in that time and place, and about music being somewhat ephemeral?
I feel like it was a gift from God. I really do. And I'm not an especially religious person, but I feel that for me as an individual, I feel so fortunate I was able to live through those times, document those times, save it for future generations. The decline of Western civilization, believe it or not, was just inducted to the Library of Congress National Film Registry.
Wow.
And that was in December last year.
Wow, that's strong.
Yeah, and I mean, when you think about the fact that when I first made it, the Chief Daryl Gates banned it from being screened in Los Angeles, to going into the National Film Registry, I mean, that's right there reason enough, I think, to try and do some art that you believe in,
One of the constants of your life is music.
Definitely.
It's a through line.
Yeah.
Right? And it's informed your art, it's informed your attitude. I think there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, it made me who I am today, I have to say. I don't think human beings in general can live without music. I mean, it really brings us all together. It helps us get through the day. It provides emotion that nothing else can provide,
I'm a monster, walking these streets, crawling these